way I like it, baby. I don't want to live forever. And don't forget the Joker.
What's up everyone, the Game2K2 here again, and today I'm continuing this Tony Hawk franchise review with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. As I mentioned in my Silent Hill 2 review, 2000 to 2001 was the time of transition for many gaming franchises, as they made their way to the PS2, the Xbox, and the Gamecube, and for a little while the Dreamcast. Not every franchise made this transition well. Some were perfect, some were mixed, and others were just plain terrible. Thankfully, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 was one of very few that made the transition perfectly. Pro Skater 3 sticks with the same core gameplay but expands on it. The missions for the large part are still the same: hidden tapes, letters that spell skate, high scores, jumping over gaps, and grinding rails. However, due to the more processing power of the new consoles, they were able to add a few more types of missions. Now there are some missions where you can actually destroy some parts of the levels. One mission has you destroying a bridge. There are missions when you can knock down snow from a tree, you knock a person into a pool, and more. The new missions are really fun, but really aren't that challenging. That's where Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 slightly falters a bit, and it's with its difficulty. To be honest, I found Pro Skater 3 to be loads easier than 1 or 2. I didn't really like the fact that before each session, it showed you where the missions were in the level. For instance, it showed you exactly where the hidden tape was. With 1 or 2, it just showed you the list, and that was really it. You had to find where these missions were on your own. I know there were a good number of fans that were happy with this feature because the first 2 games weren't necessarily detailed on some of the missions. For example, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 would tell you to jump over a specific gap in the level, and the level would have hundreds of gaps that looked just like it. So you'd spend an hour trying to find it, but to me, I thought that was good because it added to the challenge of the game. They altered some of the tricks in the game and added a few more. The revert was the biggest addition, which was a way to turn around with the skateboard still moving. This was great with the manual because you could keep the combo going. The Create a Skater and Park Editor modes see some nice updates as well. For the most part, the look of the 2 modes is the same, but the options are much more bigger. Create a Skater has a lot more menu options to make your character a little more detailed, and the Park Editor gives you more options to make your park a little more elaborate. The level designs are simply fantastic. Now they are much bigger, and you can actually see people walking through the levels, which makes them much more lively than anything seen in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. My favorite level has always been the airport. That level is just so big and is unbelievably fun. The regular multiplayer is great because all the previous frame rate issues are gone, which is awesome. The PS2 was unfortunately the only console version to feature online gameplay. The online gameplay ran pretty well for the PS2 when it was up and running. It was just a great feature because you got to face people from all around the world, and it was truly unfortunate that the Xbox did not have it for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. Unlike the first 2 games, I can honestly say that there is little to no difference between the PS2, Xbox, PC, and Gamecube versions of the game. The differences are small and really unnoticeable with the naked eye. After playing all the versions, I think the only thing separating these versions is frame rate and a couple of graphical glitches. The GameCube has a few frame rate issues. It's not really noticeable if that's the only version that you have, but if you play the games side by side, you can really tell. The PS2 has some noticeable graphical pops and glitches, but it doesn't really interfere with the game, so it's not that big of a deal. From a visual standpoint, the Xbox and the PC versions are the 2 that are slightly better. They have little to no graphical pops, and the frame rate is really good. However, the PC has the best resolution. From a control standpoint, all versions are pretty playable. Only 2 controllers took me some time to get used to, and that was the PC and the GameCube version. For the PC, I think a gamepad would be the best option, but the keyboard gets pretty easy when you get used to it. The GameCube controller action buttons are always a bit tricky for me because the action buttons are a little odd. One big A button and 3 smaller buttons surrounding it, so I always found that just a little confusing for the GameCube controller. Overall, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 for the newer consoles is simply awesome. While not the most challenging game in the world, it is definitely one of the most entertaining to play.